Hello, writer friends. Welcome to Let's Write Scripts. I'm Micah Craddy, the head of writing at Arc Studio, the best screenwriting app in the world. And there's a link to check out Arc Studio in the description below. Today, we are going to be doing 3 timed writing sprints where you can work on your script or other creative writing project, or maybe you're just taking a break from work and you want to hang out with us. And I don't know, you're working on a spreadsheet, whatever it is, you can do it with us during the timed writing sprints. And then in between those timed writing sprints, we'll be chatting about screenwriting and I will be answering your questions about screenwriting. So get in the chat with questions you might have about screenwriting. And again, we'll answer those in the breaks between the writing sprints. Before we get into it, I want to know where are you and what are you writing today? And we always have a discussion question. So where you are, what you're writing today is pretty standard. I love to see people from all over the world really joining us for Let's Write Scripts and see all the different projects you're on. Let me know, like, well, yeah, what's the project? Where are you in the process? It's fun to share. And then we have a discussion question, which kind of gets our writers' brains going for the day. And I think that can be helpful because it's summer, it's hot, at least for me and Los Angeles. It's a heat wave. So we're going to need all the help I can get to like make sure my brain is functioning and the creative juices get going. So our discussion question for today is, how do you create tension in a scene? We've talked about tension a little bit before, but I want to talk specifically about the scene level. So the discussion question is, how do you create tension in a scene? So get in the chat, let me know where you are, what you're writing today, and your thoughts on how do you create tension in a scene. And I'll share my thoughts in just a moment. If you're feeling it, please like this video, hit subscribe, and turn on all notifications. That's really helpful for the channel. And if you're like, well, I don't know if I like it yet, then maybe wait till later. But then don't forget to turn on notifications because it's really helpful. And then, of course, during the second break, so after the second writing sprint, I'm going to show the sandwich of the week. And if you're wondering what the sandwich of the week is, you're going to have to wait until the second break to find out. But those, the OGs, the people, the regulars who are here, they know what the sandwich of the week is. Well, they don't know what this one is, but in general, they know what it is. So to answer these questions myself, I am in Los Angeles. As I mentioned, it's hot. I got my fan on. I'm hoping that's enough. But we'll see how that goes. I apologize for any sweat that may happen during this scene. I get really pumped up for Let's Write Scripts. The adrenaline's flowing. I'm on camera. I'm writing. I'm talking. So I get hot. I can't help it. So apologies for any dripping that you might see later in the episode. And what am I writing today? I'm working on a rewrite of a project, a new idea. It's actually a short story, but it's like a short story I'm writing as kind of a proof of concept for a feature. So that's what I'm working on today. Love seeing everyone in the house. The South Dakota contingent is back. Kimberly from LA, Brian from Jacksonville, Cash in Arkansas, trying to fit his first draft of your short story. Jan Jones and Luden here. Love it. Christian in South Carolina, working on a complicated acting role too. Need to watch your Alien vid. Cool. So yeah, I've been making screenwriting videos now, like every week, every Monday I'm posting new ones. And the one I posted 2 days ago on Monday was all about world building in Alien. And that was a lot of fun because world building is something that I think a lot of people have misapprehensions about, or misconceptions, should I say, about like what is world building? You know, it's like creating your fictional world. And people think it's kind of about like making sure you have all these details and it's very like complicated and it's very deep and you have answers to everything. And that really, a lot of times, is just baggage that kind of holds your script back. Alien, it's very spare. And in the video, I kind of talk about how the only world building that's necessary is that which, you know, shapes the tone of the story, develops the story, and puts pressure on your characters. Really, like, the world building is functional. It's there to develop your story. It's there to build your story. You can actually think of it as story building instead of world building. So that video is on the Arc Studio YouTube channel right now, which if you're watching this, you're on the channel, so you can check out our other videos. And there's like a lot of stuff in there that I've been working on that's really cool. So check those videos out. Ross is finding his way through the midpoint of a sci-fi horror feature screenplay. Well, hopefully the monsters don't consume you, Ross. Oken from Turkey, welcome. Zoe just got a 60-page pilot done. Congratulations. What draft is that? Are you rewriting it? Are you like done? Let me know. Tessa's getting to the end of a second rewrite of her pilot in Studio City, so you're feeling the heat up there in the valley. That's probably even hotter than where I am. Trey's in the middle of a third rewrite of a passion project. Good luck on that. Karifa Creator from Georgia, working on a bunch of things. And going into the question of the week about tension. I can create tension from being vague in my descriptions. Sometimes that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, when I first saw that clip, I was like, does that create tension? But in the sense of if you're creating mysteries, like sometimes if you're being vague and it's just kind of confusing, then that's not going to create tension. But if you're being vague in the sense where you're leaving gaps that the audience is wondering what's in them, then that can definitely create tension. T.D. Morris writing about a rom-com about the power of love, but the opposite in the Pacific Northwest. Pamela in New Mexico working on a feature long create tension with characters, raise stakes. Yes, raising the stakes is a fantastic way of creating tension. Basically, what's at risk? Stakes is what can be lost or what can be gained. And if something is at risk, it makes it matter, right? It makes it matter, the outcome matter. And that definitely raises the tension because there's a lot of different definitions of what tension is. But for me, it's kind of the audience worrying about what's going to happen to a character or characters. And if there are stakes, then they worry more because what happens to them matters more. So that definitely raises the tension. Alexa, welcome back from New York, third draft of pilot. Julio, welcome back from, where are you? Are you in Italy, Julio? Where do you join us from? Cash, one thing I learned about was holding me back trying to write like other people, not intentionally, but like my favorites write like this, I should. So I've stopped doing that and improved. That's interesting. There is this kind of notion that when you start out, it's okay to sort of mimic the style of the people you love, right? Because that's how you learn. But you can't do that forever. Like you have to find your own path. And so, Cash, I love that idea because it is really like we're writing. We're like, this is a creative, artistic expression, of ourselves. And so if you're going to do that, if you're going to take the time and the energy and like the stress and the pain sometimes of, creating something, of expressing yourself, then like you might as well do it in your own voice. So I love to hear that. Hey, Steve, feel like I haven't seen you in a while, man. Working on season 2, episode 3 of your TV show. Like to write all the scripts before the novelization. Yeah, that's right. The reverse novelization approach of Dr. Steve. Glad you're here. Julia, are you just listing all of the world building examples? I love that you put Phineas and Ferb in here randomly. I was just talking about that with my wife, that I used to watch that with my niece and nephew years ago. And, there are like certain kids shows that you hate because they're just dumb. And there's certain ones you love, like, because you could just tell that they were written like by people who cared and who were just like really trying to tell an interesting story, and like, and adults can appreciate them too. And I feel like Phineas and Ferb was in that category. Like it was just delightful. Brian in Jacksonville working on a series. You create tension by being ambiguous and not focused on tools like imagery or dialogue. All right. Interesting. Yeah. So I feel like that we talked a little bit about that, about how sometimes the gaps can create tension. Oh, Julia, you're in New Jersey. Okay. But you're going, like New Jersey, Italy, right? It's the same thing. Just kidding. All right. Jim in South Carolina, welcome. All right, here we go. TD, we get all these cute novel ideas in lieu of the tried and true. What causes that? Not sure the context, honestly. Sometimes the chat's a little delayed from what I'm saying, TD, so I'm not sure what you're referring to. I love what you guys were saying about tension. I want to share a few thoughts about tension. And the reason I'm bringing up tension is because I mentioned the video that I posted on Monday was about world building. The one I'm posting on this coming Monday is about tension in a scene specifically. It's like a close study of the coin toss scene in No Country for Old Men. It's the what's the most you've ever lost on a coin toss scene, which is one of those 10 scenes, I think, like in cinema. And it's a fantastic scene. And so I basically go like line by line in this video and talk about tension and all the tools that's being used and like what makes it so tense. And as I was making that video, I was thinking about things, and there are a couple things I want to share. You can check out the full video. There's like 13 lessons, I think, for tension in it. But a couple things to think of is one is dramatic irony is great for tension. Dramatic irony sounds fancy. Really, all it means is that the audience knows something that a character or characters don't know. So like the classic thing would be, in a horror movie, the person walks into the house and like there's a killer, like hiding somewhere in the house, and the audience knows it, but the person doesn't, the character doesn't. And so they're just like walking around and the audience is like, oh my gosh, oh no. And in that example, you can see that there is a gap, right, between the knowledge of the character and the audience. And that gap creates tension because the character doesn't know about the threat, right? They don't know about the problem, the danger. And because they don't know about it, they're not on their guard. They're very vulnerable. And the audience knows this, though. The audience sees how vulnerable they are and worries about them and worries what's going to happen. So that's one way that using dramatic irony can help create tension at the scene level. Another thing I'll mention is with tension, you don't want to rush things. Like there needs to be time for it to build. In the example, I mentioned where someone walks home and there's like, someone with a knife hiding somewhere. Like you don't want the person with the knife to just jump out right away, right? Because there's no time for it to build. Like you need them to like walk around, they hear a creak, but then it's a cat, it's like you give a little space. And it's not just for horror things. I mean, you can create tension in a lot of different situations. But giving it time is a fantastic way to build the tension. Welcome from Boulder. Diamond in LA. Finished the draft of a pilot. Time to go back and see how to polish it. Good luck. It's always an adventure when you go back and read a draft because you're like, was this as good as I remembered it, or am I going to find all these problems? So I hope you like what you find. Yeah, and in terms of dramatic irony, the audience is waiting to see when the characters will catch up to the audience's knowledge. Exactly, and often it's too late, right? Like the character finds out right like as the threat or something is coming, and then by then it's like, oh no, it's too late. But you also need that. Another thing about tension, I'll just say, is that you also need to release it, right? You can't. It's kind of a tease, and you can't tease the audience forever. Like eventually, you have to release it. Paula from Nova, glad you're here as well. I'm so exciting. I think we're gonna have a great session today, despite the heat. Because of the heat, I don't know. I don't know if the heat will factor in at all, but I'm feeling jazzed. And I'm ready to get into the first write sprint. So if you're new and you're like, how exactly does this work? What's going to happen in just a few seconds is I'm going to put a timer up on screen. It's going to start at 15 minutes and count down to 0. The opening sprint is 15 minutes, and then the next one is 25 minutes. 15 minutes, timer. I'll be muted. I'll shrink off to the side. I'll play some chill music, and we're just going to vibe and write. And you just work on whatever it is you came to work on. There's no prompts. It's just your project because we're all working on different projects. We're all at different phases. And this is just kind of like almost like a study hall, right? Where you can just kind of come and just put your head down, block out all the distractions of the world, and focus in on your writing. So I'm going to do that in a second. And then after the timer's up, we'll come back together. We'll chat. I'll answer some screenwriting questions if you have any. And then we'll do the next break. But the 15-minute break is the 15-minute sprint is chill. It's a chill sprint. It's the warm-up sprint. Oftentimes we are, oh, sorry, I just saw a question, Trey. That's a good question, Trey. I'll answer that after the writing sprint. 15 minutes, what was I saying? 15 minutes is the warm-up sprint. So if you haven't been writing yet today, if you have been and you're warmed up, I mean, go for it. Just jump in and go to town. But if you've been doing a lot of stuff, your head's all over the place, maybe the 15 minutes is just to get in the zone. Maybe you're free writing, maybe you're reading back over what you were working on, whatever it is. Low bar. There's no stress on the 15-minute warm-up sprint. Any work you get done during the 15-minute warm-up sprint is a bonus. So we are going to, or by we, I mean, I'm going to play some music right now, put that timer up. I'm going to shut up and I'm going to write. And I hope you join me in writing, and then we're back in 15 minutes. So 15 minutes on the clock. Y'all ready to write? Let's do it. All right. And that brings us very calmly and softly to the end of the first writing sprint, the 15-minute writing sprint, the chill warm-up sprint, the low bar sprint. Welcome to everyone who joined us during that sprint. This is Let's Write Scripts from Arc Studio Screenwriting. I'm Micah Craddy, a WGA screenwriter and the head of writing at Arc Studio, and I will be your host for this afternoon or evening or morning, depending on where in the world you are. Hello, yes, to everyone who joined from Connecticut, Iran, Atlanta, checking in. So glad y'all are here. Let me know, how did that sprint go for you? Are the muses with us today? Are you writing? Or is it going well, or are you struggling? Or the muses mad at you for some reason? What did you do to them? Let me know. If you're struggling with anything in particular, get in the chat and ask me, or if you just have any screenwriting questions in general, and we'll talk about them. For me, the sprint went decent, but honestly, I saw some of the questions in the chat and I got really excited about answering them. So I spent like half the time thinking about those questions instead of working on my own project. So I'm excited to talk about some of these questions that were asked. Trey asked before the break, how do you build tension in a scene that is primarily dialogue, like a family dinner or a press conference? So Trey, the video, first I'd say watch the video on Monday, because the coin toss scene, for being as tense as it is entirely dialogue, basically. The only action is a coin toss, literally. Everything else is just these two men standing, talking to each other. So the same rules of tension apply if it's just a dialogue scene. But you mentioned like a couple of examples here, like a family dinner or a press conference. So dramatic irony, can function in these situations as well. So for the press conference, like imagine it's a politician, on stage, and they have a secret, right? They've had an affair or something. And there's one reporter in the audience who knows about it. And if they get called on, they're going to ask the politician about it. And the audience knows that the reporter knows. So they're waiting on it. And he's calling on different people, and the reporter's trying to get asked. And finally, like that kind of situation where it's building up and you're just waiting for the reveal to happen. Or it's at a family dinner. All right, imagine there's a family dinner and the son has something he wants to say to the dad, like something explosive, something that is going to make dad lose it, that's going to blow up everything. It could lead to the family splitting apart. It could lead to violence. Who knows what it could lead to, right? There's some big thing. But the son has promised his mom, who's also present, that he won't bring it up. Maybe this is Thanksgiving and mom worked really hard and she just really wants to have a nice Thanksgiving dinner. And the son loves his mom and doesn't want to ruin this meal that she worked so hard for. So he's like, okay, I promise I won't say anything. But then dad just keeps being obnoxious. I mean, he's just really pissing off the son more and more. And the son, he just wants to say it. He wants to say the thing so badly, and you see him wanting to say it. And mom sees it, and mom's trying to intervene and change the subject and get the dad to talk about something else, but the dad ignores her, and the son is just bubbling, and you just know he's about to say it, right? That's tension. So it's dialogue, but the same rules of drama apply as if it wasn't a dialogue scene. So hope that helps. Okan has a good question. Do we need conflict in every scene? So we speak about like how scenes work and like principles and things like that and advice in generalities, right? There are a lot of different types of stories and there are a lot of different types of scenes. So when I say like scenes need conflict, no, not every single scene needs a conflict, but in general they do. But I would say that what every scene needs is a purpose, right? What is the purpose that the scene has in your script? And there may be some scenes where the purpose does not require conflict. For instance, maybe it's a space for reflection. Something big has happened previously, and it's just like a quiet moment kind of where the character is just kind of wrestling with it, or just it's like a moment where the audience just kind of like gets to catch their breath, right? That doesn't necessarily need conflict. Or maybe it's a scene where things are just going really well, right? Everyone's happy and it's having fun, but it's important that we see things going well, because what's going to happen later is that things are going to go wrong, or this happiness is going to be lost, right? So there's not necessarily a conflict in those scenes, but they have a purpose. But in general, scenes do need conflict. I would say like the bulk of the scenes, because that's the resistance, that there needs to be friction, or else your character just goes and does everything, and then nothing's hard, and then they just sort of do what they want and what they need to do, and great, and they go home. And it's like, that's not a move anymore. That's just like doing your errands with no problems, you know? So not every single scene needs a conflict necessarily, but I would say that every scene needs a purpose, and most of those purposes will require conflict. So I hope that helps. Sai had a nice question. How to make sure to not have predictability issue in story and scenes. You know, there are a lot of different ways probably to think about this question. And one that just popped into my mind, though, is just really basing your story in the characters and just being true to the unique nature of your characters. And there's a couple things in that, you know, that I've sort of thought about recently, like let your characters be emotional. Like, let them have sore spots. I think I did a video or like some shorts about having your sore spot. If like a character's a sore spot and they like lash out or like act irrationally, like that's great. Like, let your characters be their own worst enemies at times. Things like that can really help it to be unpredictable. So like thinking deeply about like who your character is and like what matters to them, you know, and how they're going to react to different things is just, I'd say that's one way that you can, make them, you know, not be predictable. I want to write fantasy scripts, but need to film my own short film. How can I make a low budget fantasy mythological short film? I mean, I'm not a production person, so I'm not the best person to answer this, but like, I don't know. I mean, I don't think I have an answer to this. That's like not something you couldn't think of yourself, but like simplicity, right, would be the key. That you would make it something that's more like story based, because anything that requires like, you know, elaborate costumes or special effects or, you know, things like that is going to be expensive. So you have to think of a story that like just requires, you know, people like in their house. So like maybe it's, you know, finding the magic book or something, and it's just like this weird book, and it's a story, or, you know, like it has to be things that just aren't expensive to make. I'm sorry, I don't have a great answer to that one, but it's just literally like you have to think of it in a way where you're focusing on some element of it that's not dependent on, you know, those things. Cash had some advice there. Yeah, use stuff you have, friends to film, make sure you have good audio. Yeah, I'll have to say, yeah, audio is something that's often neglected in shorts. And it's honestly like probably more important than even having a good picture. Hey Dexter, welcome back from Spain. Every scene is a little movie, has its own matter, goal, doesn't need conflict, but it's got to be helpful to solve the principle. Yeah, exactly. Every not every scene has a conflict, but every scene, you know, has a point. If my scenes are in a house, can I start with interior K's house, day continued, then take K out and only list the new interior kitchen, interior bedroom, etc., etc.? Okay, so sorry. If my scenes are all in a house, can I start with interior K's house dash day? You're using some abbreviation, so it's a little hard for me to read here. Oh, okay, gotcha. So basically, yeah, what you can do is like interior K's house dash bedroom dash day, interior K's house dash kitchen dash day. But yeah, like eventually you can take out the K's house if you want, but like you could just be like interior house day, or sorry, interior house bedroom, interior house, you know, living room, you know, like that. And then you can keep it pretty short. But there are some where it'll just be like interior living room day or whatever. Like you can also use that. I'm impressed with my last sprint because I was able to relate my character with another popular character in pop culture. Cool. The comparisons can be helpful. All right, awesome. I think we're off to a good start. And we should use this momentum to roll through into the next writing sprint. So we're going to go into the 25-minute writing sprint, which I like to think of as the Goldilocks sprint, because you're not too tired and you're warmed up. So it's perfect. The first sprint, sometimes you need to be warmed up, and the last sprint, sometimes you're tired. But in the middle, it's gold. It's golden. It's Goldilocks. So I'm going to put 25 minutes up on the clock. I am going to play some more music, mute myself again, shrink off to the side, and yeah, we're going to work. And this is the one really, oftentimes I find I do my best work. I think a lot of people do their best work in this sprint. So really try to focus. If you can, turn your phone off or put it in another room or whatever it is. Just like give yourself the gift of this 25-minute. Yeah, 2 sprints left, Dexter. This one and then one more. So I'm going to put more music up, play more music, put the 25-minute timer up, and Pamela will come to your question and more after the next break. But 25 minutes on the clock. I think we're going to do it. I think we're ready. Let's jump in. sorry, y'all. I was right. It's always a good excuse when I miss the end of the right sprint. If you joined during that right sprint, this is Let's Write Scripts, brought to you by Arc Studio. I'm the head of writing at Arc Studio and a WJ screenwriter, Micah Craddy, as it says right there, right there. Yeah, I want to welcome everyone who joined during that sprint. And another welcome if you didn't join that sprint. I feel like if you're already here, you deserve a welcome as well, a second welcome or a third. I keep welcoming people, so who knows? I want to know, how did that right sprint go for you? That was our 25-minute writing sprint. We're going to do one more. But how did that one go? If you were doing well in the first one, did the muses stay with you? If you were doing poorly, did the muses show up? Let me know how it went, how your writing's going today. If you're struggling with anything in particular, you can ask questions about it, or you can ask questions about screenwriting in general. Some questions that I wanted to get into. Pamela. Oh, also, we're going to do the sandwich of the week soon, so don't worry about that. Pamela said, been learning that the midpoint of a feature needs to be a huge character change or obstacle for protagonists that then leads to an ultimate test or climax. Do these need to be earth-shattering? Any insight? So I am always wary of needs or has to be. You don't need to do anything. A midpoint is often a good idea and a tool that you can use in your script. And I actually did an entire video about midpoints, which you can check out, looking at the midpoint of Parasite, but also talking about more kind of midpoints in general. And I like to think of a midpoint kind of as a pivot point. You know, we can also think of it as like an accelerator that kind of launches you towards the climax. It can make you sort of, the audience realize they're not living in the world that they were thinking in, or the character can realize that. There can be a tonal shift. You can turn the world upside down. There's a lot you can do in that moment. And I tend in my writing to like the midpoint is often the focal point. Like that's the thing that I most kind of build my story around. But there's a lot of different approaches. Check out the video. But like, yeah, you don't have to do anything. You don't need to. These are all suggestions. These are all tools. These are all ways of approaching your story. So yeah, I mean, that doesn't have to be earth shattering. Like there are a lot of movies that necessarily aren't going to have a huge midpoint, but like your story is about changes, right? And like there are going to be a couple points in there where there's a big change usually. And often the midpoint is one of them. Hope that helps. Alexa, how do you handle researching a topic before you start writing? Or do you do it when the questions arise? Or when the questions arise, do you just research in the moment? Yeah, so this is an interesting question. I remember I did a Q&A with a screenwriter, Peter Acco, about this, and we talked about research. So you can check that out on the Arc Studio channel. When I'm doing research, I kind of tend to do it in waves. So initially I'll do a broad sort of like, first it'll be like width, and then the second wave will be depth. So in the initial wave, I'm doing research about depends what it is, time period, topic, region, just kind of like general, getting like my footing so that I can start. And I kind of just do enough to get started a little bit, to like understand that I'm going in the right direction, that I understand kind of the rules of this thing, like the big issues that people are dealing with. And then I kind of work on my story. And then the story, I would say, reveals the things that you then go deep on. So the problem, something comes up and you're like, oh, what's that thing? It can be hard because you can get stuck in research, I think, and you can just kind of research forever and not do anything. That's why I tend to do width and then depth. I don't think that's like you have to do it that way. I would just say that's just kind of an approach that I've used. Cash is, I love this. I hope no one I know get hemlock poisoning. I had to Google some stuff about it for my short story. I always get paranoid that it'll come back to haunt me. Cash, man, you and me both, buddy. Every writer, I think, has this thing where the things we have Googled are insane. And you're like, oh my gosh, if anything like corresponding to this happens in my real life, I am screwed. Because like, obviously I just did this. And like, I'm gonna be like, oh, I'm a writer. They'll be like, oh yeah, sure, buddy, good cover. So that is a very common thing when you're a writer, to be like really worried that some improbable thing that you were doing research on is going to happen to someone. And then you're going to be like in a police interrogation room, like holding up your pages, being like, no, look, I swear I was writing about this. This is a coincidence. And just like no one believing you. Zoe, how do I properly format a POV through a window in a script? I mean, you can just say like, POV shot through the window, or like we're looking through the window. When in doubt, just like use casual direct language. Like you can just say, we're looking through a window into a home, you know, or something like that. Or you can say POV shot, looking through a window, blah, blah, blah. Just like, don't overthink it. Like it just simple, clear, and you'll be fine. Yeah, I would say. All right, let's see here. Cash is almost done with your story. Needed the reveal. How to decide how to make your story be like linear, non-linear, what about flashbacks? I mean, there's no one answer to that. I mean, the answer, which isn't very helpful, is like whatever best serves the story that you're trying to tell. I would say though, if you're doing it, like my default is telling it linearly. Like I think you should have a reason to do it non-linear. Like what is that giving you? Right. So it's like, maybe you're showing it one thing, and the point of then showing the flashback is like, oh my gosh, it reveals that like this person was actually the bad guy or something. Right. Like, so if it's the point of the story, just like I would default to linear, but like, if you're going to do it non-linear, why are you doing it? What impact is that having on your story or on your characters, or like on how the audience is experiencing the story? So I would say that's what I would say. All right, now it is time for the sandwich of the week. If you're new here, every week I show a photo of the best looking sandwich that I made and then ate this week. I guarantee that all sandwiches featured on Sandwich of the Week were consumed by me. I'm not one of these Instagram people who's going to take a photo and then like throw it away. Like I am, these sandwiches are utilitarian. They are for eating. Their beauty is only a secondary benefit of them. So without further ado, here is the sandwich of the week. And we have here a buffalo chicken sandwich and turkey bacon on black sesame. And I like this photo really showing those black sesame seeds on the side there. Beautiful. Mayo, mustard, pickle, Italian mixed greens, avocado, sun-dried tomatoes, cheddar. I think I said everything. I don't know if I missed anything, but this is the sandwich of the week. And I have to say, this was a fantastic sandwich. I thoroughly enjoyed both looking at it and devouring it. I like to think of my sandwiches as ephemeral art, if I'm to be so bold. They are they're like those things that Buddhist monks, I feel like, made, where they like draw a thing with sand and then they just like destroy it right away, and it kind of makes it more precious. That's how I think of my sandwiches. They are a work of art that I then destroy, and that makes them. It's like how the gods are jealous of mortals in Greek mythology because of like the brief lifespan makes like life more valuable and intense. That's like the sandwiches are more beautiful by how briefly they exist on this earth, by they are being consumed. Yeah, not quite guac, avocado, but yes, it's great. Did I put pizza on that? No, I didn't put pizza on that. What looks like pizza? I don't know. It looks great. I'm literally here only for sandwich inspo. Look, we know our priorities. It's sandwiches first, writing second. The sandwich is a little flower girl. I love it. It's beautiful. Like the sandwiches are among the flowers. It's the aesthetic. It's great. It's still like midnight craving for my time zone. Hey, that's great. A midnight snack. I mean, hey, that's a great writing boost. All right, so that is the sandwich of the week. Last week I actually switched it up. If you weren't here, I did a taco of the week, which was kind of fun. Because I went to this place in Boyle Heights in Los Angeles called Mariscos Jalisco and had this kind of fried shrimp taco. It's one of the best tacos in LA, and it was fantastic, and I absolutely loved it. So I might throw in some more. I'm doing more like tacos, like stuff in LA, just like so many good taco spots here that I'm like trying to go to all of them. So there may be more taco content as well, working its way in. It looks like pizza on the right. That might be the buffalo chicken, I could say, because it has like buffalo kind of sauce on it, which maybe looks like pizza sauce or something. I don't know. That's my only guess, but there is no pizza here. Although I do love pizza. I do love pizza very much. All right, everyone. That was the sandwich of the week. Quick announcements, very brief. Next week, we're doing Let's Write Scripts again. Same time, same place. You can RSVP at the link below in the description or just show up on the channel at this point. Check out the videos. I mentioned the one I posted 2 days ago on Monday on world building and Alien, and really just how it shows that the point of world building is to, it's story building. Like everything in your world building should be impacting your story and your characters. It's not just about like coming up with details that you thought of that you think are cool. It should be very organic, and it should all kind of have a purpose and be enriching the story. So I do a deep dive. I looked at different sections of the script. Yeah, you should check it out. It's on our YouTube channel. And it's also on the blog here, but you can see like that's the thumbnail, the right way to world build, looking at aliens. So check that out. And this coming Monday, there'll be a new one on tension of the coin toss scene with Anton Chigurh in No Country for Old Men, where, you know, it's the famous "What's the most you've ever lost" on a coin toss scene, and I go really deep looking at that line by line. I think that I like highlight like 13 lessons for tension writing and scenes in that. So I'm really excited. I'm still editing that video, and that'll be on Monday. Yeah, and I think that is it. We are going to do the last sprint. I think we're gonna do a 20-minute sprint here to end with, because yeah, we're running a little behind, but not that much. So we're gonna end with a 20-minute sprint. I can see some folks heading out. No worries. Glad you were here. If you have to head out during the sprint, say farewell in the chat. Let me know. Let me know how it went. Let me know, yeah, if you had a good time, how your writing went this week. And I hope to see you all next week. I love this community. This is one of my favorite times of the week, hanging out with you all and writing and talking about writing and answering your questions. So without further ado, we're going to go into the last sprint. You might be a little tired, but like try to lock in. You know, this is a gift, I like to say, to yourself. We are creative people. We need this time. You know, oftentimes if I find I'm in a bad mood or cranky, I realize it was a day that I didn't do any writing and like I didn't have that creative outlet. So I think we need this, and it shouldn't just be this, right? You should be writing hopefully every day, maybe, you know, or a couple times a week, whatever your schedule allows. Invest in yourself, invest in your creativity. Yeah. Anyways, all right, that's it for me. 20 minutes on the clock. We'll say farewell on the far side, but for now, let's do a little more writing, everybody. Let's do it. Here we go. 20 minutes on the clock. Music's going. Timer's going. Here we go. Okay, got lost in the writing again. Just gonna keep using that excuse. That is it for us. That is the end of Let's Write Scripts for Wednesday, August 27th. I always have to look at the date because I don't remember it when I start that sentence. The end of Let's Write Scripts for Wednesday, August 27th. I want to thank you all so much for joining me. It was a great time. I hope you had a great time. We got some good writing done. I hope you learned some things. I hope you enjoyed the community of fellow writers. Please come back next week, same time, 1 p.m. Pacific, on the Arc Studio Screenwriting channel here on YouTube. You can RSVP if you want, also, and so you get reminder emails in the link below. Check out the other stuff on our channel. I've mentioned some of the things that the video on midpoints, the video on world building, the video on scene writing. There's so much stuff, scene headings, character intros, how to write a story, how to write a short film. There's so many resources on our YouTube channel. Please check those out. And again, check out the video, or watch out for the video that's going to come next Monday on writing tension, looking at the coin toss scene from No Country for Old Men. That's why you should you should subscribe, you should turn on all notifications so you hear about these videos. And you should also check out Arc Studio Screenwriting. That's the app that I use to write my scripts, and it's fantastic. And you can start writing your script for free at arcstudiopro.com. So that's it, everyone. Again, please be kind to yourselves, and happy writing. I will see you all next week. Bye, guys.